stop us from appropriately managing our forests. It passed the House with bipartisan support, and I expect to see it pass the United States Senate very soon. And finally, when it comes to California's election system, which is much more chaotic than any other state in the country, where we take a month just to count votes so the entire country is waiting for California to finish a process that takes everyone else a matter of hours or a matter of a few days. We have passed in the House of Representatives the SAVE Act, which advances a common sense proposition that you should provide proof of citizenship in order to register to vote. A recent survey showed that 72% of California's Democrats, Republicans, and independents support this common sense policy. In addition, I've introduced the Election Results Accountability Act, saying that California has to count its votes in a timely manner. And finally, I do believe that Californians will have a chance in the next election to vote on a proposition to establish voter ID in California elections. So on each of these fronts, we have made significant progress, and it is improving the quality of life for Californians. And once again, this is a concern for all Americans, because by making California sane again, we will help to bring about and continue this golden age in this country and chart a future that truly lives up to the founding ideals of our country. California has always been at the leading edge of the American dream, and when California thrives, the rest of the country does as well. Mr. Speaker, I want to take a moment to respond to the statement put out by California's High-Speed Rail Authority in response to the audit from the Department of Transportation that came out yesterday. Now, this audit began a few months ago. I joined Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy in Los Angeles to announce the investigation into California's 17-year-long failure to build anything despite receiving massive funding at the state and federal level. The audit specifically looked at what happened to the $4 billion in federal funds that were provided through recent grants. And the result of the audit showed that the state is woefully out of compliance, that it has built nothing, and there is no viable path forward for the project, and therefore those grants can now be terminated. Now, the High-Speed Rail Authority came out with this statement, which frankly defies belief. It's that the authority strongly disagrees with the Federal Rail Administration's conclusions, which are misguided and do not reflect the substantial progress made to deliver high-speed rail in California. Mr. Speaker, I almost cannot believe those words. The substantial progress to deliver high-speed rail in California. What progress has been made, let alone substantial progress? There literally has not been any track laid in 17 years. There has not been one passenger in 17 years. There have been 5 CEOs of the Rail Authority, by the way. So the CEOs of the Rail Authority outnumber the passengers 5-0. $17 billion has been spent already, and literally nothing has been built. By the way, the initial projection was this thing's going to be done in 2020. That's what we were told when it was proposed in 2008. By the year 2020, you will have a high-speed rail system. You could hop on it in Los Angeles. It'll take you swiftly to San Francisco. Wouldn't that be nice? Well, we're now in the year 2025, and nothing has been built. We're 5 years past the deadline for the whole thing to be done. Nothing has been built, and the Rail Authority has the audacity to claim that substantial progress has been made. By the way, we were also told that by the year 2030, we would have 100 million riders per year. 100 million. We now know for a fact that the number of riders per year by the year 23 will be 100 million less than forecast. There will be 0 riders still by the year 2030. But no, substantial progress has been made, we're told. How do we know there will be no riders by the year 2030? Well, the Rail Authority has said so itself. It has continued to scale back its initial leg of the system, but has continued to push back the completion date for that initial segment. So the initial segment of the system from Bakersfield to Merced, which for those who are not from California are not exactly population centers, this would span 119 miles. They have set a deadline to complete that by 2033, but they are now saying that even that deadline will not be met. 2033, we will not have even the initial segment of 119 miles from Bakersfield to Merced, when we were initially promised that by 2022 or by 2020, we'd have the whole thing from LA to San Francisco, and that by 2030, we'd have 100 million riders. The CEO of the Rail Authority came out recently and said he has a new, very ambitious plan that by the year 2045, 20 years from now, not only will we have this Bakersfield to Merced segment done, but we'll also have Gilroy to Palmdale. Okay, where are these places, for those who don't know California geography? Well, neither is especially close to San Francisco or Los Angeles. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's assume this actually happens, that by 2045, we have Palmdale to Gilroy. There's no reason to believe that'll be true, since every single other deadline has been missed and has been pushed back. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt. They work hard for 20 years. They continue to spend tens of billions of dollars, and they build Palmdale to Gilroy by 2045. How exactly would you utilize this system if you wanted to go from LA to San Francisco? Well, here's what you'd have to do. You'd have to get on one rail system that would take you about 2 hours to get from LA to Palmdale. You'd then have to get off and hop on to the high-speed train. Probably have to wait for it. That would take about 2 hours to again get you to Gilroy. At Gilroy, you'd have to get off, wait for another train, a non-high-speed one, that would then take you from Gilroy into San Francisco. Overall, the trip at a minimum would take you 6 hours, would span 3 different transit systems, and you wouldn't be able to do this until 2045 at a minimum. Whereas right now, today, for decades, you could take a flight on a Southwest or several other airlines from LA to San Francisco in about an hour. But no, we're told that this vision, this new plan, amounts to substantial progress, such that the results of the audit are, let's see, what were the words here? Misguided. Do not reflect the substantial progress that has been made. And by the way, the governor has a gentleman who's been hired specifically to go around on X attacking people like me, who criticizes anything that the governor's for. And Newsom is completely for spending billions and billions on high-speed rail. In fact, he just doubled the amount that will be spent this year through the Cap and Trade Fund. And this gentleman responded to my criticism of high-speed rail by saying, oh, no, we're creating all these jobs. That's what this is about. And I'm all for creating jobs. In fact, it'd be great if we had more jobs in California. California, as it is under Governor Newsom, has the second highest unemployment in the country. A recent jobs report showed literally 0 job growth in California. So I'd love to be creating more jobs. But we could create jobs by hiring people to dig a hole and then hiring more people to come and fill the dirt back in, which isn't that far from what's actually happening with high-speed rail. It's better to create jobs doing something that actually creates value, that improves the quality of life of Californians, that stimulates economic activity. Then you actually get more jobs because there are jobs associated with the economic activity that results from having something useful when it comes to transportation. So I do believe that this compliance review is the beginning of the end for high-speed rail in California. I am now calling on the House to pass my bill, which provides that not only will federal funds continue to be unavailable during this administration, but that the project will be ineligible for any further federal funding going forward. Once we eliminate the possibility of future federal funding, the state will have no choice but to acknowledge reality and finally wind down this embarrassing, disastrous project, the worst public infrastructure failure in U.S. history, and use those funds where they are truly needed, on our roads, on our other transportation infrastructure, or frankly, on literally anything else. Mr. Speaker, last week, San Francisco announced a new Grading for Equity initiative. Now, as the chair of the K-12 education subcommittee here, this caught my eye. It truly is beyond belief what they were proposing. This Grading for Equity initiative in San Francisco was, in a sense, a brilliant solution to San Francisco's problem of having so many failing schools. It simply fiated that students would not be failed. So anyone who got an F would just magically be given a C. And even if you got a B minus all the way down to 81%, that would actually be considered an A under this Grading for Equity initiative. Oh, and by the way, there would be no grading on anything, not homework, not attendance, midterms, anything like that. You just wouldn't be given grades at all. The only thing that would actually matter for grades is a final exam. But even that, you would get to keep retaking it until you got the grade that you wanted. So last week, I raised some concerns about this new initiative. And just for some context, it should be understood that San Francisco has had among the very worst student achievement gaps in the state and anywhere across the country. During COVID, they were just about the last place in the country to reopen their schools. You had students attending class every day, no problem, throughout the country, even in other parts of California, and yet this corrupt school district refused to open its schools. Instead, what it spent its time on was creating a commission to rename schools. And they came up with such interesting recommendations as removing the name of Abraham Lincoln from an elementary school. Lincoln was not woke enough for this commission. They even went so far as to suggest removing the name of Dianne Feinstein from a school. All the while, these schools were closed and students were continuing to fall behind. So sadly, it didn't surprise me to see San Francisco come out with this absolutely preposterous Grading for Equity initiative. The good news is that after we focused attention on this and folks spoke out against it, the district has now reversed course and has said we are not going to implement this in the coming school year as planned. That's good news for all Californians, because the crazy ideas that often start in San Francisco then often spread throughout the rest of the state and can even spread to the rest of the country. So I am hopeful that this will be a wake-up call, that the way to solve the problem of failing public schools is not simply to lower expectations and to arbitrarily raise grades and to make it so failure just simply isn't within the grading system. It is rather to raise expectations and to follow the forms of accountability and flexibility and other education reforms that have elevated student achievement in much more forward-looking jurisdictions across the country. Mr. Speaker, yesterday in my home state of California, the state assembly passed one of the most despicable education bills that we've seen in a long time. Assembly Bill 84 is the latest all-out attack on charter school families and students in California. It is part of what has been a war against charters since Governor Gavin Newsom came into office. And indeed, we are seeing that reach a truly concerning level right now, even before this bill. Across California, we are seeing new legislation passed by the supermajority and signed by Newsom used to devastating effect to target high-performing charter schools and to shut them down or to stop new charters from starting up, forcing families to return to neighborhood schools that they had chosen not to attend and that in many cases are failing to teach students the basics. We have many examples now of high-performing charters in the state being non-renewed. But this bill, AB 84, makes things even worse. It specifically targets independent study and homeschool-based charters, which are very important for many families throughout California, which are very important, for example, for students with special needs. It seeks to defund these schools and force them to shut down and take this option away from those families and force them to go back into a system that wasn't working for them. It seeks to further trap students in failing schools and to assure that California remains as having among the worst education outcomes in the country, especially for students in underserved communities. The bill is so bad, so disgraceful, that almost 20 Democrats just didn't even vote at all. They abstained. They knew it was terrible, but they didn't want to go against their party or against the governor or against special interests. So they simply abstained from the vote. This is a measure that absolutely cannot be allowed to pass. It still needs to go through the California State Senate, and I would encourage folks throughout the state to get in touch with your senator about it. But the fact that we have this continued assault on students and families and their schools, this continued attempt to continue educational inequities in our state, to continue our state and country's decline when it comes to education, this makes it all the more imperative that we do everything that we can here to provide choice to families and to advance educational excellence. While California is the worst of the worst when it comes to how our school system is run and the policies that this governor has imposed, across the country we have seen continued decline when it comes to student achievement. Spending has continued to go up, student achievement has continued to go down. We are falling behind other countries, and it is putting our country at significant risk for the future. Millions of kids in California and throughout the country are not getting the education that they deserve. And as chair of the K-12 subcommittee, I am committed to reversing these trends. And the good news is, a bill that I'm sponsoring, the Educational Choice for Children Act, the basic concept of that bill of enabling school choice for millions of kids across the country is now included in the reconciliation bill, H.R. 1. which I believe is one of the most important facets of this bill. I am also strongly advocating for a similar measure, the High Quality Charter School Act, to be passed either as a standalone bill, but perhaps more relevantly, as part of the same reconciliation bill, H.R. 1. We believe this measure could triple the number of students attending high-performing charter schools across the country. And it would be a great help to California families who are being attacked by their own state government. If we could ignite this school choice revolution across the country, what the data shows is that this will help not only those millions of families that choose to enroll in a public charter or a private school, but it will lift all boats. It will advance student achievement for kids all across the country. It will reverse this decline that we have continued to see in our education system. It'll give families the opportunities that they deserve and are entitled to, and it'll put our country on much stronger footing for generations to come. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to congratulate the Tahoe Yacht Club as they celebrate their 100-year anniversary. In 1925, many San Francisco families discovered and became drawn to the beauty of Lake Tahoe. A small group of individuals formed the Tahoe Power Boat Club to organize seasonal boat regattas, which quickly became a highlight of the Tahoe Basin. In 1938, the organization officially became the Tahoe Yacht Club, the name it proudly holds today. Over the following decades, membership grew exponentially to around 600. The organization later established the Trans-Tahoe Race, Lake Tahoe's largest sailing event, which soon became internationally acclaimed and attracted people from across the world. This July will mark the 62nd annual Trans-Tahoe Regatta. The Tahoe Yacht Club has exhibited endurance and resilience over the past century, briefly closing during COVID-19, but overcoming the challenges during that time to reopen to a wave of new members. Today, the Tahoe Yacht Club boasts a membership of 450 individuals and maintains a year-round calendar of outdoor activities, environmental cleanup days, and strong community engagement. It is an honor to represent exemplary organizations like the Tahoe Yacht Club in Congress. The Tahoe Yacht Club contributes to the Tahoe Basin's status as an international destination, and its contributions have had a positive and lasting impact on the region. Therefore, on behalf of the United States House of Representatives, I am honored to recognize the Tahoe Yacht Club for their 100-year anniversary. Mr. Speaker, in the spirit of National Teacher Appreciation Week, I wish to take a moment to highlight a teacher from the Colfax Elementary School District, Dana McCoy, who has dedicated the past 4 years of her career to educating the young students of her community. Mrs. McCoy is an invaluable member of the Colfax Elementary team. She started as a paraeducator before going back to school to become a teacher. Now she has many different roles at Colfax Elementary, serving as their resource specialist program teacher, working on the multi-tiered system of support team, coordinating the Tier 2 check-in, check-out program, and acting as the SST coordinator. Mrs. McCoy's efforts are critical to ensuring that students' individualized education plans, IEPs, are being met, and she's built an educational environment dedicated to helping all students reach their full potential. She also creates schedules for all of the school's paraprofessionals to ensure smooth support across the campus. Mrs. McCoy's efforts do not go unnoticed. She is an exceptional educator, and she continues to make a strong impact in the educational journey of her students. She is known by others for her hard work, determination, strong ability to collaborate with her colleagues and work in a team, and for the brightness and positivity that she brings to the school. It is a true honor to represent exemplary teachers like her in Congress, and I commend Mrs. McCoy for her exceptional dedication to education and to promoting student success and academic achievement. Therefore, on behalf of the United States House of Representatives, I am pleased to recognize Mrs. Dana McCoy for her significant contributions to Colfax Elementary School District and to the young students of the Colfax community. Mr. Speaker, in the spirit of National Teacher Appreciation Week, I wish to take a moment to recognize a teacher from the Western Placer Unified School District, Mr. Chris Wardlaw, who has dedicated 25 years of his career to educating the students of his community. Mr. Wardlaw became passionate about teaching when he had the opportunity to be a teaching assistant in graduate school, where he was studying to become a research biologist. In that capacity, university students knew him for going above and beyond by holding extra weekly office hours, meeting with study groups in the library before midterms, and helping however he could. His true passion for teaching that was ignited in that role has continued to this day. His current high school students know him similarly as the teacher who is always willing to help no matter the time or place. He teaches during lunch, before school, after school, into the evening, and sometimes over the weekend before an upcoming important test, dedicating countless hours towards promoting the success of his students. He even extends himself at times to help students that aren't specifically in his class. He brings enthusiasm, positivity, and perseverance to the classroom, and uses these traits as tools to help inspire students to learn and apply math and science to their day-to-day lives. Additionally, Mr. Wardlaw created a summer bridge course after seeing a critical need among students transitioning from middle school to high school, with the goal of closing that achievement gap. The success of the program is evident, as nearly all students in his program are thriving in math for the first time. Mr. Wardlaw exemplifies what it means to be a dedicated, compassionate, selfless, and skilled educator. He is a source of support for not only his students, but also his colleagues and the school. Mr. Wardlaw is an exceptional educator, and he continues to make a profound impact on the educational journey of his students. It is a true honor to represent exemplary teachers like him in Congress, and I commend Mr. Wardlaw for his dedication to education and to promoting student success and academic achievement. Therefore, on behalf of the United States House of Representatives, I am pleased to recognize Mr. Chris Wardlaw for his significant contributions to Western Placer Unified School District and to the students of the Lincoln community. Mr. Speaker, in the spirit of National Teacher Appreciation Week, I wish to take a moment to highlight a teacher from the Folsom Cordova Unified School District, Dr. Jennifer Sandfort, who has dedicated 25 years of her career to educating the students of her community. Beginning her career as a fifth grade teacher in 2000, Dr. Sandfort later earned her doctorate with a focus on inclusive education for students with autism. Her research has shaped teaching practices both in her classroom and across the district. Dr. Sandfort has spent the last 10 years teaching at Empire Oaks Elementary in Folsom, where she's become known for her innovative, inclusive approach and deep commitment to student growth. In her teaching style, Dr. Sandfort emphasizes collaboration, relationships, and the transformative power of learning. Her tireless devotion to her role has made a meaningful impact in the lives and learning outcomes of her students. Not only does she empower her students academically, but she also plays a pivotal role in supporting her colleagues and fellow educators, reflecting her ongoing commitment to public service and civic responsibility. Dr. Sandfort exemplifies the highest standards of educational excellence and leadership, which led her to be recognized recently by the Folsom Cordova Unified School District as the 2024-25 Teacher of the Year. I am proud to represent outstanding educators like Dr. Sandfort in Congress, and I commend her for her more than 2 decades of dedication to education and to promoting student success and academic achievement. Therefore, on behalf of the United States House of Representatives, I am pleased to recognize Dr. Jennifer Sandfort for her significant contributions to the Folsom Cordova School District and to the students of the Folsom community. Mr. Speaker, in honor of Teacher Appreciation Week, I wish to take a moment to highlight a teacher from the Eastern Sierra Unified School District, Sarah Grimke Taylor, who has dedicated 29 years of her career to educating the students of her community. Ms. Taylor graduated from Amherst College in 1991, earned her teaching credential from UC Berkeley, and earned her master's degree in English from UC Irvine. In 1994, she began teaching English, and in the last 15 years has taught both English and drama at Lee Vining High School. Due to the high standards of her performance, she has received a number of awards recognizing her exceptional teaching abilities, including the Outstanding Teachers of America Award from the Carlston Family Foundation, the Olmsted Prize for Excellence in Secondary School Teaching from Williams College, and most recently, the Teacher of the Year Award from Mono County. Ms. Taylor is known for her empathy and attentiveness to the differing needs of her students, as well as for the high expectations she sets and the corresponding support she provides to empower her students to reach their full potential. She is regarded as a bedrock of the school and is one that students can turn to for college and career advice, academic assistance, or just to be a listening ear. Not only is she an invaluable role model to her students, but she also is a leader among her colleagues and was instrumental in creating a program that mentors early career teachers, helping them hone their craft and build a positive learning environment in their classrooms. I am proud to represent educators like Ms. Taylor in Congress, and I commend her for her exceptional dedication to education and to promoting student success. Therefore, on behalf of the United States House of Representatives, I am pleased to recognize Ms. Sarah Grimke Taylor for her significant contributions to the Eastern Sierra Unified School District and to the students of the Eastern Sierra community. Mr. Speaker, as part of the California Congressional District 3 Police Honor Roll, and in honor of National Police Week 2025, I wish to recognize Deputy Jeff Bilodeau of the Placer County Sheriff's Office for his unwavering commitment to serving and protecting the Placer County community. Deputy Bilodeau serves as the Loomis Traffic Deputy and is known for going above and beyond the normal call of duty to serve his community. He reads books to his children at the local library, partners with schools to improve traffic flow and safety, provides educational presentations about accident investigations, gives public safety presentations to the town, and so much more. Through local partnerships, he has assisted in contributing numerous bicycles and helmets to underprivileged children in order to assure they have safe and reliable transportation options. His passion and commitment to mentorship, education, outreach, and public safety make such a positive impact in our community. As such, he's received several honors, including the Roseville Elks Lodge Officer of the Year Award and, soon to be, induction into the United States Police and Fire Olympics Hall of Fame. It is an honor to represent such exemplary law enforcement officers in Congress. And on behalf of California's 3rd Congressional District, and the United States House of Representatives, I'd like to thank and honor Deputy Jeff Bilodeau for serving and protecting the region as a dedicated public servant. Mr. Speaker, as part of the California Congressional District 3 Police Honor Roll and in honor of National Police Week, I wish to recognize Deputy Chad Blair of the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office for his unwavering commitment to serving and protecting the communities of Sacramento County, California. Deputy Blair began his career in 2019, working in the Investigations Service Unit, where he collaborated with the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation to gather intelligence from inmates, analyze trends in violence and narcotics distribution, and monitor gang activity. Deputy Blair enhanced his training by becoming a jail training officer and the team leader for the Custody Emergency Response Team. Subsequent to his service in corrections, he was assigned to patrol, where he utilizes technologies and community engagement to help prevent crime and build bridges between the community and law enforcement. Because of his dedication to community engagement, he was selected for the problem-oriented policing team. And in addition to his regular duties, Deputy Blair is also a member of the Sheriff's Critical Incident Negotiations Team, in which he assists with hostage and barricade situations through the use of negotiation and crisis management skills. Within these roles, Deputy Blair has continually demonstrated professionalism and commitment to service and community. Deputy Blair is known by others for his expertise and highly trained skill set, as well as for his dedication to enhancing trust between law enforcement and community members to prevent crime and promote public safety. He stands out as a daily example of excellence in law enforcement and is a model to those around him. It is an honor to represent exemplary individuals like Deputy Chad Blair. And on behalf of California's 3rd Congressional District and the United States House of Representatives, I'd like to thank and honor Deputy Blair for serving and protecting the region as a dedicated public servant. Mr. Speaker, as part of the California Congressional District 3 Police Honor Roll, and in honor of National Police Week 2025, I wish to recognize Lieutenant Jason Doolittle for his unwavering commitment to serving and protecting Placer County. Lieutenant Doolittle joined the Placer County Sheriff's Office in 2002, after he graduated from the police academy. He started his career in law enforcement as a reserve deputy and later an extra help deputy, which allowed him to obtain experience in both patrol and corrections. In 2003, Lieutenant Doolittle was brought on as a full-time deputy sheriff and worked in the jail. In 2005, Lieutenant Doolittle was transferred to patrol. He was responsible for the I-80 corridor all the way from Bell Road in Auburn to Donner Summit. During this time, Lieutenant Doolittle developed strong self-reliance and proficiency, and his work did not go unnoticed. He received the Mothers Against Drunk Driving Award in both 2006 and 2008 for the most DUI arrests in the department and was awarded the Sheriff's Pin by then Under Sheriff Darcy. While on patrol, Lieutenant Doolittle became a field training officer, which gave him the responsibility of training new deputies in law, policy, tactics, and procedures. In 2009, he joined the Special Enforcement Team, which is the equivalent of a SWAT team, and was selected as the element leader for the Chemical Agents Unit. That year, Lieutenant Doolittle was also assigned as a detective to the Investigations Unit. He handled cases involving burglary, theft, fraud, stalking, homicides, sexual assaults, and assaults with deadly weapons. Lieutenant Doolittle was very effective, with nearly all of his cases resulting in guilty pleas from the defendants, and he was recognized by the District Attorney's Office for the thoroughness of his work. In 2012, he received a promotion to sergeant. He went on to take such roles such as a team leader for the critical incident response team at the jail, developing a supervisor training manual for the division, and working in patrol. He has overseen teams of deputies and supervised numerous high-risk and tactical incidents. In 2024, Lieutenant Jason Doolittle was promoted once again, this time to Field Operations Lieutenant, and he currently serves as the commander of the South Placer Substation located in the town of Loomis. He manages the Youth and Community Services Unit, which oversees public outreach and school resource officers and works closely with local government and business leaders. Lieutenant Jason Doolittle's service does not stop there. He also serves as an adjunct instructor at Sierra College's Modular Police Academy and teaches courses in firearms, weaponless defense, chemical agents, introduction to criminal law, evidence, and professional policing in the community. On top of this, he serves as a recruit training officer, a position that allows him to mentor and guide new recruits. Lieutenant Jason Doolittle's leadership, commitment to excellence, and ongoing involvement in our community sets him apart. And it is an honor to represent exemplary individuals like him in Congress. Therefore, on behalf of California's 3rd Congressional District and the United States House of Representatives, I would like to thank and honor Lieutenant Doolittle for his ongoing commitment to serving and protecting Placer County as a dedicated public servant. Mr. Speaker, as part of the California Congressional District 3 Police Honor Roll and in honor of National Police Week 2025, I wish to recognize Sheriff Mike Fisher of the Sierra County Sheriff's Office for his unwavering commitment to serving and protecting the Sierra County community. Sheriff Fisher has served his community for 25 years, starting his career as a deputy with the Sierra County Sheriff's Office, then a detective, and finally, he was elected Sierra County Sheriff in 2018 and re-elected in 2022. Sheriff Fisher exemplifies what it means to be a dedicated public servant, consistently prioritizing the needs of Sierra County and serving as a strong representative of his community. His passion for championing the rural and ranching communities of Sierra County sets him apart as a leader, and his steadfast commitment to safeguarding life, liberty, property and Sierra County's community values is unparalleled. Sheriff Fisher is known for being a trusted leader and has earned the respect of those who have the privilege to know him. It is an honor to represent exemplary individuals like Sheriff Mike Fisher, and on behalf of California's 3rd Congressional District and the United States House of Representatives, I would like to thank and honor Sheriff Fisher for his nearly 3 decades of serving and protecting the region as a dedicated public servant. Mr. Speaker, as part of the California Congressional District 3 Police Honor Roll, and in honor of National Police Week 2025, I wish to recognize Detective Dan Heaton of the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office for his unwavering commitment to serving and protecting the communities of Sacramento, California. Detective Heaton began his career with the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office in 2014. He spent 2 years in corrections before moving on to become a patrol officer. He eventually became a field training officer, where he was responsible for training new deputies under his watch. He was then assigned to the problem-oriented policing team, and then was promoted to his current rank of detective, being assigned to the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Throughout Detective Heaton's career and decade of public service, he has achieved a wide diversity of accomplishments to improve the safety of our communities. One accomplishment of particular note occurred last year, in which he led and implemented a proactive investigation across 9 counties, including those close to 30 agencies, that located and served warrants on more than 21 suspects who were preying on children. This was truly a heroic effort that spared many young lives from becoming victims. Detective Heaton is known by others for his strong leadership, innovative techniques, understanding of the law, and the high standards by which he holds himself and others. He makes himself available to assist other law enforcement officers and agencies, sharing the skills that he has worked so hard to develop. His passion and dedication to the protection of children is unparalleled, and his tireless efforts have made a meaningful impact in our communities. It is an honor to represent exemplary individuals like Detective Dan Heaton, and on behalf of California's 3rd Congressional District and the United States House of Representatives, I would like to thank and honor Detective Heaton for serving and protecting the region as a dedicated public servant. Mr. Speaker, in honor of National Police Week, I wish to recognize and honor Officer Brett Schneider of the Lincoln Police Department for his unwavering commitment to serving and protecting the Lincoln community. Officer Schneider was hired by the Lincoln Police Department in June of 2006. Over his last 19 years with the department, Officer Schneider has held various roles, including EMT, field training officer, corporal, active shooter response instructor, arson investigator, UAV coordinator, accident reconstructionist, department instructor, and he is currently assigned as a motorcycle officer with the traffic unit. Throughout Officer Schneider's nearly 2 decades of public service, he has achieved a wide diversity of accomplishments to improve the safety of our communities. One accomplishment of particular note arose in 2023, when Officer Schneider was assigned a full-time role to revive the traffic unit that was disbanded as a result of the financial crisis in the mid-2000s. Officer Schneider was given no funding and was directed to create a unit that provides the best possible traffic enforcement. Since the start of this formidable task, Officer Schneider has not only met but repeatedly exceeded expectations. Through his efforts within the traffic unit, he's been able to secure grant funding, allowing the Lincoln Police Department to acquire essential vehicles and equipment that promote traffic safety, including traffic motorcycles, a DUI enforcement vehicle, multiple DUI checkpoints and patrols, specialized equipment for targeted traffic enforcement operations, and a truck to transport these resources. Additionally, Officer Schneider secured funding to purchase a preliminary drug screening device, which is utilized in DUI investigations involving drugs, making Lincoln the first city in the region to utilize this type of device. The funding he's acquired has enhanced accuracy and expanded capabilities within the department, leveraging innovative and new technologies. Not only has Officer Schneider secured equipment for the department, but he also has established the Traffic Safety Committee to actively engage with the community and to enhance traffic safety. Officer Schneider has harnessed GIS and drone technology to enable the department to recreate the scenes of accidents, allowing them to see accurate depictions of the chain of events. With his levels of experience and expertise in the field, Officer Schneider has become the department's subject matter expert on traffic matters, leading the city to new heights in addressing traffic concerns through the implementation of positive and advanced solutions. Officer Brett Schneider is known for his exceptional skill set, ambition, determination, and his tireless devotion to preventing crime and promoting safety in the city of Lincoln. His efforts have made a meaningful impact in the Lincoln community. It is an honor to represent exemplary individuals like Officer Brett Schneider in Congress. And on behalf of California's 3rd Congressional District and the United States House of Representatives, I would like to thank and honor Officer Schneider for his ongoing commitment to serving and protecting the region as a dedicated public servant. Mr. Speaker, as part of the California Congressional District 3 Police Honor Roll, and in honor of National Police Week 2025, I wish to recognize Detective Sterling Wolf of the Rockland Police Department for his unwavering commitment to serving and protecting the Rockland community. Detective Wolf has served as a police officer for over a decade. He's held numerous specialized roles, including rapid containment team member, drone pilot, crime scene investigator, and now detective. Throughout every position, he has displayed and exemplified the highest levels of professionalism, leadership, and service. During Detective Wolf's time in public service, he's achieved a wide diversity of accomplishments to improve the safety of our communities. Over the past year alone, he's authored more than 35 search warrants, performed numerous arrests, and successfully led complex investigations. One particular accomplishment of note was his use of advanced technology, complex search warrants, social media searches, and multiple agency coordination to identify key suspects to bring a high-value theft ring spanning across Northern California to justice. Detective Wolf's commitment to his role and to public safety is evident by the various recognitions he's received. He was recognized by a deputy district attorney from Placer County and was also honored with a life-saving award, which he earned after extinguishing a vehicle fire and rendering life-saving aid to the pinned driver while responding to a solo vehicle collision. Detective Wolf embodies the spirit of teamwork by mentoring fellow officers and fostering collaboration and open communication across the department. He is proactive and dedicated, and he's become an invaluable resource for both his peers and the community. As such, he embodies the core values of the Rockland Police Department through his integrity, skill, and dedication. It is an honor to represent exemplary individuals like Detective Sterling Wolf in Congress. And on behalf of California's 3rd Congressional District and the United States House of Representatives, I would like to thank and honor Detective Wolf for serving and protecting the region as a dedicated public servant. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Under the Speaker's announced policy of January 3rd, 2025, the Chair recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Roy, for 30 minutes.
I thank the Speaker, and I would recognize that today is an important day in the history of our country. As we all know, 81 years ago, on June 6, 1944, we had over 150,000 Allied troops who attacked the beaches at Normandy, knowing full well what they were walking into. You had 150,000 Allied forces, tens of thousands of Americans who stormed the beaches. They jumped out of boats into stormy waters, walked into a virtual wall of bullets, went through the fire, went to the cliffs, got shot at on the cliffs, scaled the cliffs, to then have to fight for every yard for the privilege of then getting all the way to Bastogne to sit in foxholes in the freezing cold in Christmas of 1944 while being bombarded by Germans as they were mounting their last offensive. Now, what would cause young men from all over this country to do that? Why would they do that, knowing a huge number of them would not make it through the day. They knew that, but they did it anyway. They knew that when they were jumping out of planes in the middle of the night that many of them wouldn't survive. I saw yesterday in social media photos of dozens of young men who didn't make it through that day, photos from them in the lead up to it that morning and the day before in training. What would cause these young men to do that? And the reason is that they knew that this country was worth fighting for, not because simply of the existence of the country, but because of what this country represents in terms of opportunity to live free and to prosper according to your own talents and to be able to live according to your own conscience under our Constitution and under the principles that were advanced in the Declaration and that are central to Western civilization. And that is what those young men did. We have 400,000 plus Americans who lost their lives to defend this country in World War II. Precious few who survived that conflict are still alive. And if you go down to the memorial here in Washington, you go down to the World War II memorial, and there's 4,000 plus stars that are across the monument, each representing 100 young men who did what I just described, or who did something similar at Iwo Jima, or who did something similar in the Doolittle raid. And again, what would cause them to do it? It is to live free. That's what it's about. I've got a letter that a dear friend of mine named Victoria Coates, who served in the Trump administration, in the first administration, from her grandfather, Howard. I want to read the letter real quickly. Jane, darling, yep, honey, it's true. Your boyfriend is in it now. I can't tell you how long I've been here or where I am. That will have to come later when I get home. It's the most serious thing I've been in during all of my life. I'm well, though, darling, and still all in one piece. As you said in the last letter I got from you, the one you wrote on Invasion Day, I'm well trained and will take care of myself. Of course, the men come first in our mission, but I'm not taking any chances personally except those in the line of duty. Most all of our officers and men are reacting fine to these new conditions. I have my own platoon and my own headquarters out in the field. Fact is, I'm sitting in my CP now writing this letter. I have Charlie Mugford here as my executive officer, and he's very capable in the field. My staff sergeant is a boy by name of Verbach from Pittsburgh. He's Polish and a darn good man. The Germans killed his grandparents in their invasion into Poland. So you can well imagine his reaction to all of this. The morale of the men is good, and that makes the job easier. Golly, I like my little field setup. I have good radio equipment, also a nice switchboard. Then I have a Jeep and weapons carrier for my CP, plus my CP personnel. We get a special dehydrated ration that requires only the adding of a little water. I haven't received the picture yet, but I'm very anxious awaiting it. For supper last night, we had, as an example, baked beans, sausage, cold-packed tomatoes, biscuits, jam, and butter. Please write regularly, I need it. We haven't received any mail since coming to France, but hope to get some soon. That helps plenty. Well, darling, you're ever in my thoughts over here and are my big driving force. I, like the thousands of other Americans, am doing my damn best to get this war over and get home safely to my family. What did they fight for? I can tell you what they didn't fight for. They didn't fight for a Congress to come here and continue $36 trillion of debt and mortgage their children, their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren's future. They didn't come here for this Congress to run away from the fight of policy. They didn't risk everything. They didn't walk into a wall of bullets so that people in this chamber can be afraid of tweets or constituents that come in and talk about, oh, but you're cutting some program. They expected us to actually defend this country in this chamber. $1 trillion of interest every year. We're spending more on interest than we are the entirety of our national defense. I got to be honest with you. I don't know whether the big, beautiful bill is beautiful enough to support. I got to be honest. I voted for it off of the floor to send it to the Senate. There are a lot of important provisions in it. And I need to level set some of those provisions right now, because it is not appropriate for us to run away from the fight now that these young men 80 years ago ran into the fight to preserve. This country will not survive if we mortgage it away. And that's what we're doing. President Reagan was correct when he said that every member of Congress, when they come to this floor and they offer a new bill for a new program, should offer a tax increase to go alongside of it. Because everybody in this chamber, particularly on this side of the aisle, are all too fine offering tax cuts because it's like selling dessert, but refuse to put forward the spending cuts so that people have to eat the broccoli. And that's why we're $36 trillion in debt and growing. And that's why we have $1 trillion of interest. And by the way, as interest rates go up, the price of that debt goes up. We're going to be at $1.5–2 trillion of interest payments because we can't do our job correctly. Now, the big, beautiful bill, let's go through it. The bill is what I would call the good, the bad, and the ugly, because that's the truth. And I'm not going to get into personalities and squabbles and back and forth. The president is right that we need to move a bill through here with tax cuts and spending restraint so that he can get the agenda done that he campaigned on. He's 100% right, and we should do that. Elon is right that this bill doesn't cut enough. That's the truth. Two things can be true at the same time. And the barrier to actually achieving the greatness of moving the big, beautiful bill through that would achieve the president's agenda and achieving what Elon is rightly saying, which is that we should cut more, the barrier is right here in this chamber. It's right over there in the Senate. People unwilling to face their constituents and tell them the truth. Well, I'm going to try to sit here on the floor and tell the truth. I had to hold my nose to vote for this bill 2 weeks ago off the House floor to the Senate. Why? It does not cut enough, and it's not even close to cutting enough. My colleagues say, oh, but Chip, it's the biggest spending decrease in history. Let's be very clear. It is a reduction in future increases of about $1.6 trillion. Yes, that is the biggest amount ever. But guess what? We have sizably more debt and sizably more spending than ever. So of course it should be, but it should be more. $1.6 trillion in cuts or future reductions is really about $160 billion a year over 10 years. That's the truth. The truth is, our whole budget has grown from about $3.6 trillion a decade ago to $7.2 trillion now. It's doubled. And everybody wants to applaud themselves for $160 billion of reductions and increases. I'm sorry, I don't think that's good enough. The fact is, our budget, the budget we passed to get the big, beautiful bill through, says that we should be at $6.5 trillion for 2026. But after this bill, if it's passed this way out of the Senate, we'd be at $7.2 trillion. All right, that's a lot of numbers. You want me to tell you back home? The fact of the matter is, unless we have record economic growth for an entire decade, deficits will go up. That's the truth. This bill front loads all of the cost. So for the first 4 years, 26, 27, 28, 29, deficits are up. That is, by the way, on a dynamic basis. You're going to hear a lot of people taking shots at the CBO, and they should. The CBO is biased, the CBO is left-leaning, and the CBO doesn't always get it right. But guess what? No economist ever gets it right. The fact is, we took care of that, at least in part, in the Budget Committee by assuming growth. We assumed economic growth of 2.6%, higher than the last 2 decades average, lower than the historic average. Why does that matter? Because we've already accounted for what you call dynamic scoring, meaning the impact of the tax cuts on revenue. All right, so what does that mean in simple terms? It means that if you look at our analysis, even assuming economic growth and more revenue from that growth, we will still have $400 billion of deficits added to the existing $2 trillion deficit in 2026 because of the bill. Those deficits will go up even more, and will be another $400 billion or so in 27. 28, we add to the deficits. 29, we add to the deficits. Finally, in 2030, deficits go down. And if you look across the entirety of the 10 years under this bill, you are basically at somewhere around break even on the impact on deficits. Now, again, everybody understand what I'm saying. The deficits of roughly around 1.8 to 2 trillion a year will continue. This bill will adjust taxes and adjust spending, will increase deficits for 3 or 4 or 5 years, and then cut deficits in the outer 5 years if you believe that will ever happen. Only in this town do you assume that the good things will happen in 5 years and accept the bad things in the first years. But that's what we're doing. Now, to be clear and to be fair, this does not account for tariff revenue, which is up. Of course, tariff revenue has to be factored into the economic impact of the tariffs. So you got to stir all that in the pot and decide what you think is going to happen. And if you ask me to weigh all of this, I will tell you that on the simple question of whether this bill will add to or decrease deficits, I think it will add to the deficits. Because for the first 5 years, even dynamically scored, they add to the deficits. Even if you assume the current rate of about, I don't know, $250 billion of tariff revenue, which you can't assume because they change, you're still going to be adding to the deficits, even factoring in for the economic impact of growth. Okay, that's all a lot of nerdy speak. Everyone sent us here to save the country. You can't save the country if you're adding to the deficits. You can't save the country if interest rates aren't going to be able to go down because you're being fiscally responsible and the bond markets respond. That's the simple truth. But here we are. And why are we here? Why, despite what I just said, did I hold my nose and vote for the bill? Well, A, as part of the process and hopeful the Senate might work its will to make the bill better. Probably not a good bet. The Senate rarely makes things better. Okay, B, we did get some serious reforms to Medicaid. I'm proud of those reforms. But I do have to be honest with you, they're kind of like breathing. When I tell you the reforms, you're going to be like, wait, we don't do that already? We're simply going to reverse a lot of the damage of the Biden administration and reverse a lot of the damage of the expansion of Obamacare by simply saying this: you shouldn't be on Medicaid if you're able-bodied and can work and you're not working. Now, Democrats will say, oh, you're slashing Medicaid. No, we're not. They're not telling the truth about that. What we're doing is simply saying you should have to work. Same thing for food stamps. My Republican colleagues will say, oh my gosh, these are the biggest savings in history. This is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'll be like, every American I talk to says, why weren't you doing that already? It's like basic business of Congress. Why would you do that? Why would you provide benefits to people who are able to work and don't? It's insane. So we're going to say, oh my gosh, we saved hundreds of billions of dollars on Medicaid reform by tightening and making sure we're enforcing eligibility and that only the vulnerable get it instead of able-bodied. But we're not doing anything to stop the money laundering scam. We're not doing anything to stop the fact that expansion states under Obamacare get 7 times more money for the able-bodied than the vulnerable. We're going to do nothing about that. We're going to do nothing about the provider taxes that are part of that scam, that have blue states getting money to give money to illegals and to people for Planned Parenthood and other things because they launder the money through Washington and get a multiple to give it to hospitals and insurance companies and then give them a tax break on the back end. Well documented, well reported, and this body is doing not a damn thing about it because they're too afraid to take on the insurance lobby, too afraid to take on the hospital lobby, too afraid to be honest with the American people. And yet I voted for the bill. Why? Because if we don't, we keep operating under the current system, which means we keep giving Medicaid to people without work requirements. So I'm forced with a conundrum. Do I vote for the bill so I can actually have the common sense of a Medicaid work requirement start in 2026? Or do I vote no on the bill because I think deficit's going to go up, and I think this is the bare basics of reform we should do while we're not doing anything to stop the money laundering scam that will likely encourage the 10 non-expansion states to expand and cement Obamacare permanently. This is the Hobson's choice that someone like me or some of my other colleagues face, all under the bluster of what this bill does or does not do, which 90% of the people in this body can't even explain, much less the American people or anybody in the media. That's the truth. We add lots of new tax cuts. Oh, but here's the little secret that everybody should understand. All of the new tax cuts expire after 4 years or 5 years. You want to know a classic Washington gimmick? That's one. You're getting absolutely the bait and switch by Republicans in the House and the Senate by saying we're going to have these tax cuts only be applied for 4 years because they will expire, don't you know, in 4 years, so you don't have to score them now. So there we say, don't worry, over 10 years, this thing, man, it reduces deficits. But they don't score the last 5 years because the tax cuts expire. Now, let me ask you a question. If you're watching this, all 12 of you on C-SPAN, tell me whether you think if we put in place a $500 enhanced child tax credit, I don't care whether you like the policy or not. I have my concerns with the policy. I think it's a giveaway. I don't think it's actually all that helpful. I don't think it creates economic growth. But okay, we're all in the giveaway business in this chamber. We're going to give away another $500 for every child in this country, even though it costs thousands to raise them. But we're only going to do it for 4 years. I'm not allowed to speak and address the audience. I have to address the speaker. But for anybody who happens to be listening in the chamber or on C-SPAN, would you go to Vegas and bet yes or no that those tax credits would be expanded in 5 years? You know damn well they'll be expanded in 5 years. But we don't score that. That's a Washington gimmick. There are 7 of those, I think, or more, of these tax cuts that expire in 4 or 5 years, but are not then scored for the outer 5 years so that everything can balance. But it doesn't. That's $1.6 trillion of additional lost revenue. Now, again, let me be clear. I support a lot of those policies. I don't think we should be taxing Social Security on seniors, either at all or certainly as much. I don't think we should have taxes. Well, let me restate it. I think we should give tax benefits for moving manufacturing to the United States and give rapid depreciation expensing for those companies. I'm for that policy. And that might actually be one of the few that might pay for themselves with the growth. But all of these things, how about the auto loan tax deduction? We've got that in there now. Well, do you think that's going to pay for itself? Do you think they'll let that expire in 4 years when everybody's used to deducting their auto interest? Maybe it's fine policy, but shouldn't we pay for it? Shouldn't we have more spending reductions, or are we going to keep up the fiction that we can continue to do these policies? And all my Republican colleagues go, Chip, they all pay for themselves. Are you a tax raiser? That's what they do. They go, Chip, you're out there, you're saying we've got to raise taxes. There's a reason, as I said a minute ago, Ronald Reagan said, if you come down here with a new idea, you ought to have a tax increase attached to it. Because everybody in this chamber cannot say no to the Farm Bureau when they come in and they want more money, when the ALS people come in and say they need more research, when the cancer people come in and say they need more research. I'm a cancer survivor and I tell them no. Because, damn it, we don't have any more money. But everybody in this chamber just says, okay, we're going to authorize more spending. And I'm going to go do a tax cut because, oh, that's your money. You get to keep your tax. I agree. Let me be clear. They're all going to sit there. They're going to go play some clip, Chip Roy's for tax increases. It's all crap. But the truth is, everybody in this chamber says every tax cut pays for itself. What if I cut taxes to 1%? Do those all pay for themselves? No, they don't. And we owe $36 trillion. And everybody watching this, your kids, your grandkids, your great-grandkids are holding the bag because you wanted all your free crap. And as I've said before in a speech, this is always the United States House of free crap. And that's what we do. We just write checks. the Inflation Reduction Act, the Green New Scam. I'm going to tell you the one reason I voted for this bill. One, yes, I like the Medicaid work requirements. Yes, I like a lot of the extensions of the tax cuts. Yes, I like some of the policies that stop funding Planned Parenthood. Yes, I like some of the policies that stop funding transgender surgeries. All of those are good. But in my opinion, we needed more spending restraint if you want to be honest about deficits. But I voted for this bill for one reason, and this is why I'm on the floor today. Because I need the United States Senate to hear this as clearly as I can say it. We got restrictions on the Green New Scam to ensure that about 55 or 60% of those subsidies that are going to enrich billion-dollar corporations to put money in the pockets of the Chinese, to undermine our grid with unreliable energy and undermine natural gas and undermine nuclear, all while bolstering wind and solar, which is littering our fields and littering our landscape, all to provide unreliable energy. We fought like hell to get restrictions on that, to get 60% of the Green New Scam basically terminated. The president campaigned on terminating all of it, but this weak-ass Congress and Senate are going to not do that because, we can't disrupt the existing flow of the $400 billion of subsidies going into the pockets of all those big companies raking in the money so they can get free money while you guys all subsidize, they're getting rich, and your grid gets weaker. This Congress is going to do that. And we fought like cats and dogs to get that 60%. And everybody in town, the K Street lobby, are freaking out. Whoa, no, we're not going to be able to have our subsidies to build more wind farms and solar farms. We're not going to have more giveaways because their energy won't compete. So that is the one reason I voted for this bill. So my message to the Senate, this will get clipped. It will get sent to the Senate. I'm looking at you, Tom Tillis. I'm looking at you over there in the Senate. You backslide 1 inch on those IRA subsidies, and I'm voting against this bill. I want the White House to hear it. I want the Senate to hear it, because it is the only reason I voted for this bill. Because those godforsaken subsidies are killing our energy, killing our grid, making us weaker, destroying our landscape, undermining our freedom, and I'm not going to have it. So you do what you want to do in the Senate, House of Lords, have your fun. But if you mess up the Inflation Reduction Act, Green New Scam subsidies, I ain't voting for that bill. We have a duty to actually honor 81 years later. All these colleagues of mine, both sides of the aisle, they'll go out. You watch. Today, D-Day, there'll be a tweet from everybody. June 14th, the 250th birthday of the Army, there'll be a tweet from everybody. July 4th, they'll get in their parades. They'll walk around, they'll flag, they'll kiss babies, yay. What do they do on Veterans Day? What do they do on Memorial Day? But what are we doing to actually honor the memory of those who gave the last full measure of devotion, who walked into the wall of bullets, who died for this country? So we could be $36 trillion in debt? So we could subsidize the Green New Scam? So that we can run away from the fight of having a tough conversation with constituents that there in fact is no more room in the inn, that we are out of money? Because I got to tell you, this bill does not meet the moment. I voted for it because I believe strongly in stopping those Green New Scam subsidies and for a variety of other good provisions. But we ought to do better. The Senate ought to do better. And if the Senate weakens it, shame on the Senate. And if the House just takes it, shame on the House. The President of the United States campaigned on terminating the Green New Scam. We should terminate it. The President of the United States said that we should get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicaid. Well, we should, including the money laundering scam, enriching blue states at the expense of red states, expansion states at the expense of non-expansion states, and enriching the able-bodied at the expense of the vulnerable. The President campaigned on tax relief. We should deliver it. But we should have the commensurate spending cuts to go alongside of it to ensure that deficits go down, to do what the President also campaigned on, which is balancing the budget of the United States. I do not believe this bill yet will do that. We'll see what the Senate does over the next week. But we will do a disservice to the memories of those that we are celebrating today on the 81st anniversary of D-Day. And we'll do a disservice to the memory of all those who came before us, to fought and died and bled for this country, But more importantly, we will do a disservice to their ancestors, a disservice to our kids and our grandkids, who are the ones left holding the bag of rampant inflation and high interest rates and a bond market that is teetering on the edge of a knife's edge because we refuse to do our job. We have an obligation to do. And I hope the Senate will step up and make this bill better. If they leave it the same, they can send it to the president's desk. They leave it basically the same and they send it back, I guess a lot of us will hold our nose again and say, well, I guess that's the best this Congress is capable of doing. It's like General Patton's quote in the movie. Well, what did you do during the great WW2? Well, you won't have to say you shoveled crap in Louisiana. Well, what is Congress going to say that they did at this moment in time in history to save this country? I hope the Senate will listen, make this bill better, make it deserving of the president's campaign and mandate, and deliver for the American people. But they better darn well not backslide. Because frankly, it was hard to hold my nose to vote for that bill in the first place because I'm over the barrel trying to actually make Medicaid work and try to make these subsidies get repealed and try to do the job that the president campaigned on, while we are too inclined to want to have giveaways that don't simply add up. This is a moment for us to rise up and deliver. I hope the Senate will do it, and I hope the House will follow. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I'll yield back.
Members are reminded to address the remarks to the chair and not to receive viewing audience. The question is, for what purpose does the gentleman from Texas wish to be recognized?
Mr. Speaker, I would move to adjourn.
The question is the motion to adjourn. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted accordingly. The House stands adjourned until next noon of next Monday for morning hour debate.